Good morning, everyone. We're so glad you could join us for our Taiji Qigong 18 forums today. This program is generously sponsored by the Library Trustee. Before we start our program, I would like to read a brief disclaimer. Participation in this online Taiji Qigong program, while generally considered safe, could result in injury. Not all the material presented here are suitable for everyone. These exercises are not intended to substitute for appropriate medical care or advice. Always consult your physician before beginning any exercise program. Program creators, teachers, producers, and hosts assume no responsibility for injuries resulting from the use of this material. Without any further delay, please welcome our instructor, Hanson Rathbone.
So this is class 9 of our 10-class series in the Taiji Qigong 18 forms set. So as with previous class, we'll start with some body mobilizations, some preparations. So circling the leg. The point of focus is the knee, so I'm kind of loosely circling the knee in a horizontal circle, moving to the outside. So that helps to loosen the hip, the knee, the ankle, and some of the bones in the feet. And turning the other way. And 3 loose kicks with the foot, 3 or 4. Circling the knee on the other side, horizontal circle, turning to the outside. And now turning to the inside. And 3 loose kicks. So we can bend at the hips, gently press the knees back, stretch the backs of the legs, backs of the knees. Now bend the knees and circle in one direction over the feet. Stretch out the backs of the knees again. Bend the knees. Rotate in the other direction over the feet. And again, press out the backs of the knees. Let the torso hang over, bending from the hips. Get a nice stretch through the backs of the legs and through the torso. Bend the knees and roll up through the spine. Tap the heels 3 times. Moving up to the hips, circling the hips. And turning the other way. Arch the torso to the front, arch to the back. Standing with the feet parallel and the weight distributed equally on the feet. You want to turn around a central axis that goes down through the top of the head into the floor. Step out a little wider. Feet are still parallel. Shifting the weight laterally from foot to foot. Pay attention to that moment when you change direction. Okay, now we're going to add the axis turn to the lateral shift. So the turning of the axis and the shifting arrive at the end point at the same time. When we change direction and go back to the other side. Arms are just hanging down, going along for the ride. Okay. So we can just bounce slightly, bending the knees slightly, bending at the waist slightly. Allow the arms to hang down. Try to feel as though there's an elasticity in the body, and you're allowing the shaking to allow sort of an elastic movement between being extended and bent. You can make this movement very subtle. It's to make it feel comfortable for yourself. This is kind of a nice way to warm up the body. Get everything open and circulating. Okay, just pause for a minute. Notice how your body feels. So we can go right into our standing. So you can lift from the top of the head, like a string tied to the top of the head. Let the chin tuck slightly, the neck just gently lengthen up out of the torso. Feel the whole spine actually open so that each vertebrae has just a little bit more space between them. So if my fingers are the vertebrae, you want to feel as though you're hanging down from the top and everything's opening. Allow the hands to hang down by the sides. Have the palms facing the back. Feet are parallel. A little bit of a bend here in the inguinal crease or the quad. Bend the knees slightly. But feel as though all the joint spaces have some space in them. You don't want to feel like your bones are stacked one hard against the next. Keep a little space between each of the bones. See if you can feel that your flesh is just hanging off of the bones. So the bones, in a way, float up and provide the upward support, and the flesh and other tissues can kind of just hang down off of the spine. So notice your breathing. So we had done some work over the past few weeks to introduce some experience of how the breath moves inside the body. So try to get a sense of that now if you've been following that aspect of our class. If you like, you can sit instead of standing. So what we had been talking about is to bring your attention to different areas along the course of the breathing apparatus. So starting at the nostrils. So it's not so much that we're following the breath moving in and out, or that we're moving in and out with the breath, I should say, but you're bringing your attention to the openings of the nostrils, and you're just noticing what you feel there as you breathe. So let your breathing be natural. So we're going to do the breathing part, or part of the breathing part, here in the beginning of the class, because I want to start to tie this into our set as best we can. So if you want to continue standing and you feel comfortable doing that, you can continue that. But if you prefer to sit, you can do that. So you want to sit so that your thighs are parallel to the ground and that the lower legs are approximately perpendicular to the ground. The feet are nice and flat on the floor. Again, you have that gentle lift like we did with standing from the top of the head, which allows the chin to tuck and the neck to lengthen slightly. Everything else drops gently down. You can place your hands on top of your knees or just behind the knees on your thighs. Little space in the elbow. Shoulders are relaxed. Chest is settled and dropped a little bit. And you can let your belly get a little full. But at the same time, you're lifting your torso up out of your hips, just very gently, very slightly. Keep the spine lengthened. So bring your attention to your nostrils and notice what's happening there as you breathe. We're not trying to change the breathing, just notice what's happening there already. What do you feel? What do you feel when the breath comes in? What do you feel when it goes out? So now move your awareness a little bit further up into your nose. And just gently keep your awareness fixed there, but notice what's happening there. What do you feel as the breath comes in? What do you feel when it goes out? And relax, let everything relax. Allow your awareness to move a little further up your nose, maybe to the back of the nose. Notice what's happening there. If you find your mind wanders away from what we're doing, just gently bring it back. An important aspect of this is learning how to pay attention to something without having any intention at all. And that may be hard at the beginning. So to pay attention to the process of breathing without trying to influence it. Just noticing what's happening, not making any judgments about it, but just noticing. So move your awareness now into your throat and notice what's happening there as the breath moves in and out. Do your best to let go of any sense of effort or strain. Just noticing. Move a little further down into your throat. As the breath moves in and out, is there any sense of movement where your attention is resting? So notice the point in your airway where it goes from the throat into the lung. Now bring your awareness inside the lungs, inside the chest. So notice as you breathe, is there any movement in the chest? Any sense of expansion or contraction? So through this process, you may already have noticed that your breathing rate has slowed without you really even trying. Maybe it's even gotten a little deeper, maybe it hasn't, but just notice what's happening there. Generally, over time, I think you'll find this process very relaxing. Maybe you're already getting a sense of that. So now maybe at the bottom of the ribs, as we had said, that sheet of muscle we call the diaphragm, which kind of hooks to the ribs all the way around. See if you can get a sense of that. So the center of that is going to go down when we inhale, and the center is going to come up when we exhale. So that sucks the air in as the diaphragm goes down, and it pushes the air out as it goes up. Now bring your awareness down into the abdomen area. And notice how your belly moves as you're breathing. If you encounter any sense of tension in the diaphragm or in the abdomen as you're breathing, notice it. Don't push against it, but just notice that it's there. Maybe just by thinking, relax. Maybe it can relax some, but it may be something that you need to work with for a while, over many, many sessions. So now if you can, bring your awareness to the center of the abdomen, kind of below the navel, but inside. And see if you can have a sense of breathing in and out of that area. Or at least feel the movement that's happening there. Feel as though that's the center. And as you inhale, the expansion occurs in all directions from that center. Feel a gentle opening. It should be very relaxed. You're not straining to make this happen. So you can kind of point the center of your palm at that place inside your body. And as you inhale and you feel the sense of expansion in that center, you can move your hands apart a little bit to kind of mirror that on the outside. And then as you exhale, you can allow the center of the hands to draw into that place deep inside your abdomen. Your arms and your shoulders relaxed, your hands relaxed. So as I said, this process you can do sitting or standing, or both. You can start out standing. If you start to feel that's a little uncomfortable, you can sit down. Then maybe later you can stand up again and try it. It may change a little bit. The sense of how things move may change a little bit, because when we're standing, we're using different muscles to hold the body up than we are when we're sitting. Now, for some of you, you may already have a good sense of this practice. Others may need to spend some time to work on it, to build it up, to develop it. But the idea is to very gradually allow your awareness to rest at some point along your breathing apparatus and notice what's happening as the breath moves in and out. And then gradually sink that down lower and lower into the body. And you should feel that changes your energy level. You should feel more relaxed, more comfortable. If for some reason you don't feel comfortable, there's probably some tension somewhere that's preventing you from getting to that relaxed state. So you can think about that. You can see if maybe there's some part you need to pay attention to, or if it's too problematic, just leave it out. Leave out the whole practice. And let the breathing set guide you into a relaxed state. So let's start practicing our set and trying to keep a sense of this breathing, this expanding from inside a central point inside the abdomen in all directions. Try to have a sense of that. So we'll stand for a minute just to relax and settle into this position. And so now we can begin our Taiji Qigong 18 forms. So inhale, hands come up. And exhale, elbows down, wrists down. I'll turn so you can see this from the side. So inhale, let the breath expand, the whole body expands, you get taller. Exhale, let yourself contract and sink down a little bit. Inhale. And exhale. So you can use this qua squat we had been working with. So you're standing up into the posture. And exhale, squatting. And it doesn't have to be a big squat, just a simple, gentle flexation at the hip, at the qua. So inhale to one side and exhale to the other. Circling hands. Inhale and exhale. Let your inhaling be a sense of expanding in all directions, and exhale, contracting back to the center. So let there be no sense of exertion or strain when you're inhaling. Feel as though it's the easiest thing in the world. You become more relaxed. Throughout the whole set, you want to continually move towards a feeling of ease. The pulse monkey, inhale as the hand comes back, exhale to the front. Inhale back, exhale to the front. rowing a boat. Inhale as we come up, exhale down. Expanding, deflating. Inhale and exhale. Lifting a ball, inhale up, exhale down. Carry the moon, inhaling up and exhale down. Inhale up and exhale down. And one more time each side. Inhaling up, exhale down. And we move right into twist and push. Exhale out. Inhale back, exhale out. And we go right into cloud hands. Inhale to one side, exhale to the other. So throughout all of these, if you can, you follow that sense of expanding as you inhale and deflating a little bit as you exhale, but all within a state of ease and comfort. And one more time each side. Scooping the sea, bow and arrow stance, bending from the hips. Exhale, inhale as you come up. Pull the toes up as we go into pushing waves. Inhale back, exhale out. So this one we should do 12 times. So I think that was 6. So we'll change the feet if we like. You can keep the same foot out if you like also. Inhale back, exhale out. And we transition into spreading wings. Inhale back, exhale out. Same bar and arrow stance, same lifting of the heels on the back and the toes in the front. Change the feet if you like. So this one we also do 12 times. And punching, exhale as it goes, the hand goes out, inhale back, exhale out, inhale back. Arm stays relaxed. Elbow down, and the punch finishes. Slight bend in the arm. One more time each side. We go right into flying goose, inhaling up, exhale down. If you can, go up in the balls of your feet as you go up, and exhale down. And turning a dial. Inhale up one side, exhale down the other. Do 3 times, and then go back the other way. Bouncing a ball. Inhale up. Inhale on one side, exhale on the other. And we finish the set with lift hands, lift palms, and press palms. So inhale and exhale. So we can stand for a moment afterwards. Allow the body to go calm and quiet. Return to our sense of breathing. So feel maybe a slight expansion as you inhale throughout the whole body, and then a slight contraction as you exhale. Kind of moving in and out from this center that's below the navel, behind and below the navel, about halfway through the body. Brush down slightly, and then collect. Place the center of the palms below the navel. Have a sense of kind of collecting from all different parts of the body, kind of back into this center. Okay. Take a little break. So the thing about the breathing is to really work with it in as gentle a way as possible. There's a myriad of different breathing exercises, and some of them use some force to accomplish their particular goal. What we're trying to do is done very relaxed, very natural. So you're not really trying to change any quality about the breath. By paying attention to the breath, a relaxed, soft attention, the breath may change of its own, but it's not that we're forcing that to happen in some way. So the quality of the attention that we apply is important. It's sometimes if we're trying too hard to pay attention to something, there's a certain amount of strain in there, and that will reflect in different parts of the body. What we're trying to do is a much softer focus. So the noticing that you're doing is very soft, almost like you don't really care, but you're still noticing what's going on there. It's not that you're drifting off into space somewhere. You're keeping your attention focused somewhere, but it's an empty attention. There's no intention there. You're not trying to intend something to happen. So that's an important quality to develop, and it can be a little tricky because we often, with our intention, we have all kinds of things that we're subconsciously even intending to happen, or judgments in a way are a kind of intention. So to some extent, we want to let go of all of that and just have that light of attention shining on something. And that's a gentle light, a soft light. So that's important. If you find it problematic to apply an awareness of the breathing to the movements at this point, then keep those two practices separate. Basically, what we arrived at with the sitting or standing still and following our breath, or following what happens at different points in our body with the breath. That process, if what we arrived at with that was that we got to the sense of the belly moving and maybe other parts of the body moving, and trying to let those parts move in as relaxed and comfortable a way as possible, and becoming maybe more aware of them. If trying to apply that to the set becomes problematic, and keep those things separate. To some extent, the movements themselves will breathe the body in a way. They'll kind of create a condition that causes the breathing to respond. And you almost don't need to do any paying of attention. But if you do pay some attention And you can get a sense of that expanding out into the posture as you inhale, and then withdrawing back to that center on the exhale. That can enhance things. It may be a little bit advanced, but it could be something that later on, as you practice this, you can work your way into. Next week, I would like to do like a question and answer period towards the end of the class. Maybe we'll save 10 or 15 minutes for that. So if you have questions about the set or how to do some part of it, that may be a good time to do that. It'll be a limited period of time, and we maybe can't answer everyone's question, but we can certainly answer some. And oftentimes the questions someone else asks are ones that we have ourselves. So it's a good chance for us all to hear what each other are experiencing in the set. So let's count on that. I think the way that we'll be doing that is within Zoom, there's the function of raising your hand. So Rhonda will be monitoring that, and when she sees a question come in, she can select that person, and then they can speak their question, and we can have a little interaction about that, and maybe I can give you an answer that'll be helpful. You can also write any questions that you have, and you can send them to, I believe Rhonda has put her email address into the chat. So if you can look at the chat section, you'll find that she's put some things in there. One is her email address. The other is the link for the YouTube videos. So each of these classes, as you know, is recorded, and they're posted on the library's YouTube channel, the Public Library of Brookline. And I put some timestamps in, so it's a little easy for you to jump to the particular part of the tape, the video that you want to see. So it's easier for you to get the information that you want. But eventually you want to work so you don't need the videos. So internalize as much of the practice as you can as you're learning, and that'll take different amount of time for different people. Be patient with yourself, use the videos, they're there, but at some point you want to get so that you can do the practice on your own. And we'll talk more about practicing next week too. Anyway, that'll be all for today. I'm glad that you were able to join me for this practice. I love this stuff, and it's helped me out for many, many years. And I really appreciate the teachers that passed this material along to me in whatever form they did, and that I'm able to pass it on to you. So I hope that you can make good with this and find something here that you'll treasure as much as I do. Okay, that'll be all for now. See you next week.